Inner peace feels difficult to find because most people are searching for it in the wrong places. They look for peace in money, approval, success, relationships, or perfect circumstances. They believe that once life becomes easier, peace will automatically arrive. But real peace does not come from outside conditions. It comes from within the heart. A person can have wealth and still feel empty, can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely, can achieve success and still feel restless. This is because peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of stability inside the soul. Modern life constantly pushes people into noise. There is always something demanding attention. Phones, notifications, deadlines, responsibilities, expectations, and the endless pressure to keep up with others. The mind rarely gets a chance to breathe. Even in moments of silence, thoughts continue racing. People carry conversations in their heads, replay mistakes from the past, and fear what may happen in the future. This constant mental movement creates exhaustion. Many people are physically resting, but mentally still running. That is why peace feels far away. Another reason peace feels difficult is because people confuse distraction with healing. They think entertainment will fix emotional heaviness. They scroll for hours, binge shows, overwork themselves, or keep busy so they do not have to face what is happening inside. But distraction is temporary. Once the noise fades, the same stress returns. Real peace requires honesty. It asks a person to sit with themselves, to understand what is hurting them, and to face emotions they have been avoiding. That process can feel uncomfortable, which is why many people avoid it. Overthinking is also one of the greatest barriers to peace. The mind creates storms from possibilities that may never happen. A person keeps asking what if until fear becomes stronger than faith. What if I fail? What if I lose this? What if things never get better? These thoughts drain emotional energy. They create anxiety before reality even arrives. Inner peace becomes hard because the mind is fighting battles that do not yet exist. Learning to quiet this habit is one of the first steps toward calmness. Unhealed pain also blocks peace. Sometimes people carry old disappointments, betrayals, regrets, or guilt for years without realizing how much it shapes their present life. They smile outside while carrying silent heaviness inside. Past wounds can create present anxiety. A person may fear trust because they were once hurt, may struggle with confidence because they were once broken, or may feel distant from hope because life disappointed them too many times. Peace requires healing, and healing requires patience. The heart also struggles when it becomes too attached to control. Many people want certainty in everything. They want answers now, guarantees now, success now. They want life to move according to their own timing. But life rarely follows human plans perfectly. Delays happen. Loss happens. Unexpected changes happen. When a person ties peace only to control, they will always feel anxious because control is limited. True peace grows when trust becomes stronger than fear. Accepting that not everything is in human hands creates emotional freedom. Spiritual distance can also make peace feel unreachable. When the heart becomes disconnected from Allah, worldly stress feels heavier. A person starts relying only on their own strength, and that burden becomes overwhelming. But hearts were created to find rest in remembrance of Allah. When prayer becomes weak, gratitude becomes rare and trust disappears. The soul feels restless. Spiritual emptiness often shows itself as emotional exhaustion. Returning to Allah does not remove every problem instantly, but it changes how the heart carries them. Comparison destroys peace quietly. Looking at others and feeling behind creates unnecessary sadness. Social media has made this even worse. People compare their real struggles to someone else's edited highlights. They see others getting married, succeeding, traveling, achieving dreams, and they begin to feel like life is unfair. They forget that every person carries unseen tests. Comparison steals gratitude. It turns blessings into insufficiency. A peaceful heart learns to appreciate its own journey without constantly measuring it against others. Sometimes peace feels hard because people do not believe they deserve it. They stay attached to guilt, self-blame, and harsh inner criticism. They replay failures and define themselves by mistakes. They think suffering is proof of responsibility. But growth is not found in self-destruction. Mercy must also be given to oneself. Repentance, reflection, and learning are necessary, but endless self-punishment is not healing. Peace enters when a person allows themselves to grow beyond who they once were. The truth is, inner peace is difficult because it requires discipline, not just desire. It asks for boundaries, patience, forgiveness, prayer, reflection, and intentional silence. It asks a person to protect their mind from negativity and their heart from unnecessary weight. Peace is not found accidentally. It is built daily through choices. Small choices, 5 quiet minutes. One sincere prayer, one deep breath before reacting, one moment of gratitude instead of complaint, one act of trust instead of panic. The hidden cost of constant stress is far greater than most people realize. Stress does not only affect the mind, it slowly touches every part of life. It changes how a person thinks, feels, reacts, and even how they worship. Many people become so used to living under pressure that they start believing stress is normal. They wake up tired, carry anxiety all day, and sleep with a restless mind. They call it responsibility, but often it is emotional overload that has gone unaddressed for too long. One of the first costs of constant stress is the loss of emotional clarity. When the mind is overwhelmed, small problems feel huge. A simple delay feels like disaster. A small disagreement feels like rejection. Stress makes people react from survival instead of wisdom. They become impatient, defensive, and emotionally drained. They may hurt others not because they are cruel, but because their nervous system is exhausted. Constant stress steals softness from the heart. Relationships also suffer under hidden stress. A person carrying silent pressure often becomes distant without meaning to. They stop communicating well, lose patience quickly, and struggle to be fully present. They may be physically with family, but mentally trapped in worries. Loved ones feel the absence even when words are not spoken. Stress can create walls between people. Marriages weaken, friendships become cold, and family bonds feel heavier because emotional energy has been consumed elsewhere. The body also pays a price. Stress affects sleep, appetite, energy, and physical health. Some people cannot sleep because their mind refuses to be quiet. Others sleep too much because emotional exhaustion feels heavier than physical tiredness. Some overeat for comfort, while others lose appetite completely. Headaches, fatigue, chest tightness, and constant tension often become normal. The body speaks when the mind has been ignored too long. Emotional stress eventually demands physical attention. Constant stress also damages decision-making. A stressed mind often chooses urgency over wisdom. People make rushed decisions, speak without thinking, and chase temporary relief instead of long-term peace. They may leave good things too quickly or hold on to harmful things too long. Stress creates emotional fog. It becomes difficult to know whether the heart is making a wise choice or simply trying to escape discomfort. Calmness brings clarity, but stress clouds judgment. Spiritually, the hidden cost is even deeper. Stress can weaken connection with Allah if not handled with awareness. A person becomes so consumed by problems that prayer turns mechanical. Du'as become rushed. Gratitude disappears because survival takes all emotional focus. Instead of turning to Allah, some turn only to panic. Shaitan often uses stress to create distance between the servant and the Creator by making hardship feel like abandonment instead of a test. The hope also suffers under constant stress. When pressure continues for too long, people begin expecting disappointment. They stop dreaming, stop trusting, and stop believing relief is near. Even good news feels suspicious because the heart has become trained for survival, not peace. Chronic stress can make blessings harder to notice because the mind is always scanning for danger. A person may be surrounded by mercy and still feel trapped in fear. Another hidden cost is identity loss. Some people become so busy carrying responsibilities that they forget who they are beyond survival. They become problem solvers for everyone else but strangers to themselves. They no longer know what brings them peace, what strengthens their faith, or what makes them feel alive. Stress turns life into a checklist instead of a journey. Existing replaces living. Stress also steals gratitude. A heart under constant pressure often focuses only on what is missing. It becomes blind to what is still working. The roof over the head, the breath in the lungs, the people who still care, the doors that are still open, all become invisible under the shadow of worry. Gratitude is not denial of hardship, it is protection from becoming consumed by it. Without gratitude, stress becomes even heavier. Many people think they need a complete life change to feel peace, but often they need small, consistent restoration. A pause, a prayer, a boundary, a conversation, a moment of stillness. The hidden cost of stress keeps growing when ignored, but healing begins the moment awareness starts. Peace does not come by waiting for life to become easy. It comes by learning how to carry life without letting it destroy the heart. Peace is a skill, not a miracle. Many people wait for peace as if it is something that will suddenly fall into their lives one day when everything becomes perfect. They imagine that once the right job arrives, the right relationship appears, the financial pressure ends, or the difficult season passes, then peace will finally come. But peace does not work that way. If calmness depends only on perfect circumstances, it will always remain temporary because life itself is never permanently perfect. Challenges return, people change, plans fail, and uncertainty remains. True peace must be built from within, not borrowed from changing conditions. Like any skill, peace requires practice. Nobody becomes patient in one day, and nobody learns emotional balance without repetition. Just as the body becomes stronger through consistent exercise, the heart becomes calmer through repeated discipline. Choosing patience when anger rises, choosing silence when ego wants to argue, choosing gratitude when life feels unfair, and choosing trust when fear becomes loud, these are daily exercises of peace. They may seem small, but repeated over time, they shape the inner world of a person. One of the most important parts of learning peace is self-awareness. Many people react to life without understanding what is truly happening inside them. They feel irritated but do not ask why. They feel heavy but keep moving without reflection. Peace begins when a person becomes honest with themselves. Why am I feeling restless? What keeps stealing my energy? What fear am I avoiding? Self-awareness is not weakness, it is emotional intelligence. Without understanding the source of chaos, it becomes difficult to create calm. Another part of peace as a skill is learning emotional regulation. This means not allowing every emotion to become an action. It is thinking, replaying, worrying, planning, comparing, regretting, and preparing for problems that may never even happen. This invisible mental labor drains energy in ways that many people do not recognize. They call it tiredness, but often it is emotional overload. One major reason people remain mentally exhausted is unprocessed stress. Life keeps moving, so many people never stop long enough to understand what they are feeling. They move from one responsibility to another without reflection. A disappointment happens and they bury it. Someone hurts them and they ignore it. Fear rises and they distract themselves instead of facing it. Over time, these emotions do not disappear. They accumulate. The mind becomes heavy because it is carrying unfinished emotional conversations. Another reason is the addiction to constant stimulation. Silence has become uncomfortable for many people because they are used to noise all the time. Phones are checked every few minutes. Social media fills empty spaces. Music, videos, and endless scrolling become emotional background noise. People fear being alone with their thoughts, so they stay distracted. But the brain never gets true rest this way. Stimulation is not recovery. Constant input keeps the nervous system active and prevents deep mental peace. Overthinking is one of the strongest causes of exhaustion. A person can spend hours fighting situations that only exist in their imagination. They replay old mistakes and create future disasters before they happen. They analyze every word someone said, every look, every possibility. This constant internal debate steals peace. It creates emotional fatigue without visible action. The heart becomes tired from carrying fears that have not become reality. People also stay mentally exhausted because they struggle with boundaries. They try to be available for everyone, fix everyone's problems, and carry responsibilities that were never theirs to hold. They say yes when they need rest because they fear disappointing others. They absorb negativity from people around them and call it kindness. Emotional generosity without boundaries becomes self-neglect. A person cannot stay peaceful while constantly abandoning their own needs. Comparison is another silent source of mental exhaustion. Looking at others and feeling behind creates a pressure that never ends. Someone else always seems happier, more successful, more loved, or more settled. Social media makes this even heavier by showing polished moments without hidden struggles. The mind begins to believe it is failing, even when it is simply growing at its own pace. Comparison turns normal life into emotional competition, and that constant pressure is exhausting. Lack of spiritual connection also contributes deeply. When the heart is distant from Allah, stress feels heavier because a person tries to carry life alone. Problems feel bigger when trust is smaller. Without prayer, remembrance, and reliance on Allah, the soul becomes restless. Many people are not only mentally tired, they are spiritually thirsty. They are trying to heal emotional pain with worldly distractions when what they truly need is spiritual return. Perfectionism keeps many people trapped in exhaustion. They believe they must always perform, always succeed, always appear strong. Rest feels like laziness. Mistakes feel like failure. They cannot enjoy progress because they are obsessed with impossible standards. This creates constant internal pressure. Instead of living, they are constantly trying to prove their worth. Peace cannot grow in a heart that treats itself like a machine instead of a human soul. Unforgiveness also keeps the mind tired. Holding resentment requires energy. Carrying old anger keeps emotional wounds fresh. Some people relive the same hurt every day because they refuse to release it. Forgiveness does not mean accepting injustice. It means refusing to let pain own your peace. Sometimes the mind stays exhausted because it is still living inside old battles. Fear of the future is another heavy burden. People want certainty, and when they do not have it, anxiety takes over. They want guarantees about marriage, finances, health, and dreams. But life does not offer complete certainty. Trying to control every outcome creates endless stress. Peace grows when trust becomes stronger than prediction. The mind rests when it accepts that not every answer must arrive today. Most mental exhaustion is not solved by sleep alone. A person can sleep for 10 hours and still wake up heavy if the soul is carrying too much. What they often need is release, honest reflection, sincere doer boundaries, forgiveness, gratitude, and trust. Healing begins when people stop asking only how to survive and start asking how to live with peace. Mental exhaustion remains when life is lived on autopilot. Recovery begins when awareness returns. Your mind needs rest, not escape. Many people think they are resting when they are actually escaping. They scroll endlessly, binge entertainment, oversleep, overwork, or stay busy just to avoid feeling what is happening inside them. These things may create temporary distraction, but they do not create peace. Once the noise stops, the same heaviness returns. Escape postpones pain. Rest helps heal it. True rest is not just physical stillness. A person can lie in bed for hours and still feel exhausted because their mind never stopped running. Rest means emotional release. It means allowing the nervous system to feel safe enough to slow down. It means stepping away from mental chaos, not just physical tasks. Without inner stillness, external comfort cannot create peace. Many people avoid rest because silence feels uncomfortable. When life becomes quiet, hidden thoughts rise. Regret, loneliness, fear, sadness, and unresolved pain begin to speak. Instead of facing these emotions, people run back to distraction. But healing cannot happen where honesty is absent. Rest asks a person to sit with themselves without performance. It asks difficult questions. What is hurting me? What am I afraid of? What am I pretending not to feel? Spiritual rest is one of the deepest forms of healing. The heart was not created to carry life alone. It needs connection with Allah. Salah is not only obligation, it is restoration. Sujood is not only worship, it is emotional surrender. Dhikr is not only repetition, it is cleansing for the mind. When a person remembers Allah sincerely, the heart finds a kind of relief that no worldly comfort can replace. Sometimes the mind does not need entertainment. It needs remembrance. Rest also requires permission. Many people feel guilty when they slow down. They have been taught that worth is measured only by productivity. If they are not achieving something, they feel useless. But constant performance creates burnout. Even the body has rights. Even the soul needs gentleness. Islam teaches balance, not self-destruction. Rest is not laziness when it protects your peace and allows you to return stronger. Creating small moments of stillness is often more powerful than waiting for perfect breaks. 5 quiet minutes after Fajr, a short walk without noise, deep breathing before reacting, reading Quran before sleep. These are forms of real rest. They may look small, but they teach the heart how to slow down. Peace is often hidden inside simple pauses that people keep postponing. Healthy rest also means releasing unnecessary burdens. Some people are tired because they are carrying responsibilities that belong to everyone else. They are solving problems, He did not create and protecting people who do not protect them. Rest sometimes looks like saying no. It looks like boundaries. It looks like refusing to be emotionally available for constant chaos. Protecting your peace is part of protecting your mind. Nature of rest also includes acceptance. Many people stay exhausted because they are fighting reality. They replay what should have happened instead of dealing with what is. Acceptance is not giving up. It is freeing yourself from arguing with what cannot be changed. When the heart stops resisting every delay and disappointment, energy returns. Peace often enters where resistance ends. Sleep improves when the heart is lighter. Night becomes difficult when worries are carried like permanent responsibility. Before sleeping, releasing the day matters. Making istighfar, asking Allah for ease, forgiving what needs forgiveness, and trusting tomorrow to Him creates softness inside. Rest is deeper when the soul is not trying to control the entire future before closing its eyes. The world often teaches people to escape discomfort instead of understanding it. But healing does not come from running forever. Your mind is not asking for more noise. It is asking for peace. It needs honesty, stillness, remembrance, and trust. It needs moments where you stop performing and start returning to yourself. Escape gives temporary relief, but true rest changes the heart.